baby.
Hey.
Happy almost July 4th.
It is. I can't believe we're almost done with June.
Yep.
Wow.
We are.
Summer is flying, and it's been a great summer.
It has been a great summer. Hey, can you move that little thing down so I can see you?
There.
Well, no. Make sure you're really close. I need you close. Because this mic, for whatever reason.
I'm close.
Yeah. Okay. Get it real close.
Okay.
All righty. Tons of energy this morning, huh? Mm-hmm. You're like, what are we going to talk about? Okay, before we dive in.
Yes.
And talk about marriage stuff. You know what's interesting? So
What?
Two things. One is, I can only imagine, I don't know how many listeners we have now. I mean, I checked the statistics in the weekly, geolocations and how many downloads. But anyway, you never know. You can see that and yeah, it looks really good. And the trend is going well as far as how many we're gaining. But who's listening all the way through and who are repeat customers who are just always there. We know a couple, right? We know a few. So, and it's not about us being some experts or some therapists. They just say they love the warmth between us and just some of the banter and some of the stuff we talk about. And even one just said, I think it was the comment when we were talking to Zoe about how it's just this warm thing that she likes to listen to, makes you feel like you're with them kind of thing. So anyway, having said that, I love podcasts myself because I feel like, when I'm listening to Smartless, there's Sean Hayes and Jason Bateman and Will Arnett and talking to these different, mostly actors, right? And you just kind of feel like you're hanging out at a table with them because they're just all, it's no prep except for maybe the one who's going to have the surprise guest. Two of them don't know who it's going to be. Anyway, they may prepare some questions just because they're nervous about, if the thing flops or it's not going anywhere. But and then, Joe Rogan, it's not about him. I don't like his stand-up. I don't particularly think he's funny, but I love the guests, the variety of guests he has on his show. And, got me into some interesting, topics there. And then, so lately, and I've never been a huge fan of Conan, and if you are, great. But I love the way he laughs. So he's an easy laugh, right? So people like Bill Hader cracking him up.
Oh,
I love the way Norm Macdonald used to crack him up. And again, I wasn't like a huge Norm fan, but like just hearing Norm and Conan, it cracks me up, because Norm would crack Conan up and he laughs so hard. Same thing with Bill Hader. And I do think Bill Hader's funny. Anyway, so I listen to a lot of these podcasts, right? And one of the things that if you listen to Conan talking to mostly in his, I guess actors and comedians, right? But mostly a lot of comedians with his deal. And then the Smartless guys and the actors.
Yes.
All these guys that we see on Netflix all the time or on social media now or all these shows and all these movies, they all talk about being so afraid of bombing. And being anxious and being nervous, before they go on SNL or before they do the monologue or before they go and have to literally perform a eulogy at one of their friends, memorial services. It's just very interesting. So everybody's afraid of bombing. And when we think about doing this podcast, it's like, why are we ever afraid of bombing or being prepared? So I guess it's that deal. You're picturing people listening and you don't want to be made fun of, or you don't want to sound stupid or foolish. I love the guys that named their podcast Smartless, Yeah. So
it's probably what ours should be called. That's a good name
long
for
haul
ours.
Marriage, long haul life. How about just long haul, man? Just long haul. But
that's interesting.
No, so there's that. So who cares? Let's just roll it and see what happens. So that's one. Two. The bottom line there is so many people, or all of us, we're so self-conscious. We're really not thinking about, the other person. And then it's that, if you've ever bombed, Conan was talking about having that feeling of when a joke doesn't go over, or just the feeling that you blew it. That's such an uncomfortable feeling. Well, then, you'll do anything to avoid that. Just this morning I was listening to Steve Martin and Marty Short. Again, hilarious.
So funny.
But Steve Martin's always had huge anxiety about, and the older he got, the more he would, if he got invited to do the freaking, Carson show, like, let me study for 3 months on jokes that will land. And, Marty Short would just show up. Right? Yeah. Everybody's wired differently, but so many people, fear that. And anyway, I just think it's interesting. So for all of you who are, hanging on every word to see if we bomb, I'll take you out of suspense. This is just what it is. So there's that. 2, I saw this morning, and this is how my brain works. We were talking, you and I were talking the other day about how this, bless your heart, this OCD and ADHD brain works. And I was talking about how up here, it all makes sense to me. And I'm pointing to my head, my brain. But it's so hard because I'm thinking on different dimensions or different levels. And it's so hard to for me to communicate what I'm thinking, and how you're really good at just communicating. You're just a very, very good communicator.
Thanks.
But then I thought about what I was sharing is I'm writing. I'm working on a writing project right now, and I love doing that. And I'm not particularly like a great writer or author. I don't fancy myself at all as a writer.
I disagree.
No, Chandler, go read my daughter's writing. So Chandler Castle, go find her on Instagram. She's an incredible writer. Just there's a gift. But what I do enjoy is because I was a good student and I like English and I appreciate the rules of grammar. And so my brain just can't help but follow those. So that helps to distill ideas down onto the paper, because I have to go through the filter of, rules of grammar in English, right? In literature or whatever. And so that helps me organize thoughts into some coherent stream on paper that I don't do.
Yes.
Out loud.
You were explaining that to me the other day, and I thought that was such an interesting concept, how just the written word, it causes all those, crazy thoughts in your brain that all mean something, and they're all, brilliant. But sometimes it's hard to, your brain's going so fast that it's hard to keep up with it. But when you have to transfer that to the paper or to your computer, how it just brings some organization.
But it forces the organization.
To it. It slows it down.
So maybe the reader can follow a little bit.
That is,
so I feel sorry for everybody. But to that point, so this morning I was on a walk, and there was a FedEx truck parked. He pulled up and parked in front of a house. And I saw the dude sprinting with the box to the house, right? And in the, however many milliseconds it was when I saw him sprinting before he reached the door, I had already gone through this whole thing in my mind about how, okay, so did he read anything about if you run on your routes, you're going to save by the end of the day, you're going to save 2 hours and get home and be with your family, or you're going to make that much more money based on delivery products or whatever, what units, whatever they measure. Or was it, he's wanting to exercise, man, I'm going to run and I'm going to get in some extra steps and some extra, burn some extra calories. And then wondering at the end of the first time he ever tried it, instead of getting off at 4, he got off at 3:46, or like when you think you're making time, you're going 70, and it turns out that the people who went 55, they get there like a minute and a half over 20 miles, after you do. So, and I was thinking all of that, right? Thinking, I wonder what motivates him. And then I started thinking, again, milliseconds, we think, we're getting all this stuff from getting in the cold plunge or drinking our little salt mineral, our sea salt in the morning. And is it doing anything, right? Is it helping at all? But then how powerful our beliefs are if we believe it. And then we the placebo effect and all of that. And we got to have beliefs, and we're going to believe something anyway. Might as well, delude yourself into thinking you're optimizing your time. So I was thinking all of that, right? And thinking, man, just we're funny creatures, and I bet we all do that on so many levels. And I was thinking about us, right? Well, then he's already made it back to the truck, right? And then I watch him get back out of the truck, and it's kind of a half-hearted jog now. He's not sprinting. He has no package, but he's going back to the house. He picks up the package off the porch, and then he runs it next door. So he had delivered it to the wrong house.
Buddy.
And I was thinking all the time that he was saving there, and he's probably looking at his watch and starting his timer, to run out of the van and the hubbub. Dadgummit, missed the freaking address. So anyway, there's a lot that we could preach on that. Mm-hmm. That's just so interesting. And again, my brain went off, and I won't bore everyone with what happened after that. But oh my gosh, that is all of us, right? That's life.
Yeah.
Best laid plans of mice and men. So,
yeah, I've thought about that a lot. Like all the things that we do to help us feel great, whether it's the cold plunge or grounding or whatever vitamins or supplements we take, or
started in the old apricot seeds.
Yeah.
And we're wondering about that amygdalin.
Poison almonds.
It creates cyanide in your body, right?
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh, okay. So it's supposed to be good and maybe cure certain things or kill certain things, but
you're not supposed to eat a lot of them.
It could be killing us. So who knows?
So anyway, yoga and swimming and being out in the sunshine, all that stuff that we do that we hope will prolong our life. But really what we hope more than that is that it just gives us energy in the moment, that it makes us feel good for right now. So maybe we do die earlier than our, friends or whatever. But the time that we did have here, I feel like what it does is it makes us make the most of it. No, I know that sounds horrible, but really you do think, wow, sometimes you read about people dying and they were this marathon runner. Yeah. They worked out so hard. They ate so clean and, all that. And then you think, well, wow, that was a waste. But really it wasn't. Like if you're doing something in your life that helps you feel more grounded, more whole, more healthy and well. Yeah. Okay, so you die earlier. That wasn't the point anyway.
I do agree with you. And I think that a lot. And I agree with that. The only would be, because I think about this all the time. When I'm neck deep, I get down to that 45 degree water in the cold plunge. And if my heart stopped, I'd be sitting there thinking, oh, that was dumb. That was stupid. So anyway,
I don't think that's going to happen.
So I wanted to talk today about just some kind of general marriage stuff. I think we said we were going to talk about sex, but let's save that for another time. Yeah, we're going to talk about sex coming up. Okay. By the way, hope everyone loved our interviews with Zoe and with Kay.
Yes,
we've had some great feedback.
Fun.
That was great. We are going to be doing a lot more interviews because it's just fun, and there's a few that I'm really looking forward to. I think I mentioned having my daughter Chandler on, our daughter Chandler, and then Blake and Adrena again for some more with them. But we have a few more that we have our sights set on. Do you want to tell about your before we get into our topic today, your inspiration while we were watching America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and what happened with that?
Okay. I will, because y'all will get a kick out of this.
I think it's
y'all will get a kick out of this. Okay, so we're watching the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders Netflix show called America's Sweethearts, and we love it. We watched it both seasons, and it's not some Bachelorette crazy, catty, rude,
drama.
Mean,
yeah, we thought maybe it would be that, but it's actually...
You could say it's shallow, it's all about, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. We like it.
Yeah.
And so...
what I love is they're all in it together and they have each other's backs. And it's not... And they're all rooting for one another.
They're rooting for each other.
And it's just an interesting documentary on how that thing's run.
Yes.
And the cuts and all that.
So you watch these... Many of them, super young girls, they move away from family. They come here. They go through these rigorous tryouts, major cuts. And anyway, just a lot emotionally on all of these girls who are making the team. And those that don't make the team, but the ones that we that get the screen time are the ones who've made the team. And so as we're watching all of these sponsors, you see Lou Casey, who does their boots. You see Tangerine Salon, who does all of their hair. You see, the people that do their extensions, their eyelashes, their pantyhose, their
nails.
Everything, lip fillers or whatever it is. Anyway, so I'm watching all of these different sponsors that care for their physical needs, people that make meals for them that are super easy and on the go and healthy, all the things. And so I said to you, I wonder if there's anyone in this organization that cares for these girls' emotional or mental needs. And I know some of them will talk about, well, I, saw my therapist today or whatever, so many of them are probably taken care of, but so many of them don't know like how to, they don't know who to talk to, and that's a new thing for them. So anyway,
it's cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I said that, you were like, I don't know. And I said, I think I'm going to just maybe reach out and like email them, try to touch base with somebody. And so of course, my first thought is to go to Facebook. So I look up, I know you're laughing.
I actually said, hit them up, babe.
Yeah.
I did. I said, reach out to them.
Yeah. So I reached out to, Kelly Finglass and Judy Trammell are the two like directors.
Wow. Shout out.
And
hey
to Kelly Finglass and Judy Trammell. So I reach out to Kelly Finglass on Instagram, and I write this whole big thing about
on Facebook or IG?
On Facebook.
Okay.
And I first go onto her account and I look how many followers she has, who she's following, any of her posts. You can kind of tell like it's a dummy account if it's just maybe there's been 2 posts or it's just random stuff. You're like, okay, this is so dumb.
Right.
But this looked totally legit, which you know where I'm going with this. So anyway, she had posts about traveling with DCC and videos of them on the road on the bus, and then a picture of her son running an ultra marathon with the Cowtown, and just personal kind of stuff, pictures of them at Christmas and stuff. So I send her this big long message about, hey, we really love your show. We have a ministry called Long Haul Marriage. We do marriage coaching, we do life coaching, and we would love to see if there's anything we can explore about helping your girls with mental or emotional health. And so wrote this whole thing. And then the next day I get a message back.
Which I immediately thought, that's wild that they hit you right back. And that it was such a comprehensive and detailed response. But
so, I show you, and then I show Carson and say, okay, is this dumb? Is this AI or scam or what, and you both looked and said, no, I mean, I don't know. It looks legit. Her account looks legit.
Well, and at the time, I think Carson had seen the account and hear me, I was going along, but at the time I hadn't looked on Facebook at any of the accounts. So when I pulled her up, there were 6 accounts that looked legit. Two of them really looked legit with the followers and the posts and all that. So it could have been either one of those. Yeah.
So anyway, over the next probably 5 days, she and I go back and forth messaging, and it's super. At first, you're like, everything I read, I'm wondering, is this AI? Is this Chat GBT? Whatever all that stuff
some
is,
staffer.
right? And
because it was coming not from a staffer or a chat bot or an AI. It was
so
from
far,
Kelly. Yeah.
No harm, no foul. If it is, okay, knock yourself out, AI or whoever you are. Yeah. So after several days of chatting back and forth, some of the things were super personal about, we love what you're doing with Long Haul Marriage. We've looked at your website. We've looked at your Instagram and Facebook account. We looked into some of the clips of the Marty B's Bible breakfast. I mean, and you're like, wow, that's cool. So they're checking us out to make sure. So anyway, then when we kind of get it narrowed down to what our next steps are, there's going to be a financial investment for us, which I get it as a business. A lot of people do that. Like if you're going to be a part of our brand or there's going to be this trial period, there's going to be this investment. Well, then the last message or two were really about, because I did offer, can we meet via Zoom or we'll meet up for lunch or dinner? We'd just love to meet and chat. Well, with all of the practices and all of the things, we don't have time for a Zoom meeting or for that, but we'll have kind of like our people, we'll talk to your people,
Right.
you know. But before anything, they wanted the financial investment.
Yep.
And that's when all of my lights, bells, and whistles went off and said,
Yep.
I think this is a scam. So I'm not saying 100% that it is, but I'm saying 99.8% that it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right
I'm
now
saying
where it
100%.
stands, I haven't sent the last message, the nail in the coffin saying, I'm sorry,
you.
but but that was, I'll say that was disappointing. It was disheartening.
Yeah, and
because
so when I jumped in, because I saw them back and forth, I thought, oh, okay, so for the business proposal, I want to be involved in the writing of that. And when I jumped in there, it was how we have partnerships with other organizations, and one of them it's where they refer clients to us, and then I give them a referral fee. Another one, they offer it as an employee benefit, for their employee, and they 1099 us. I invoice them then. And those are two models, and I said we can do it that way, or we can do a trial period where we just do our thing for free,
for a month or 4 or 6 weeks, whatever.
Yeah. So, but the point is, we have done this and we are doing it, and we would love if anybody out there is listening and think, man, this is something that I could offer for maybe a business you own or a company you work for.
Yeah.
We would love to do that. And we would love to somehow get into that organization. But then as I got online, then not to look on social media, but actually, on the DCC or the Dallas Cowboys official website, there's hardly any way you can even contact anyone. It's crazy.
So be careful out there, because they're...
Oh my gosh. It's not like they reached out to you. You reached out to them and immediately... Gosh.
Obviously, if someone reaches out to me and tries to start something, you're like, oh, okay, what's this? Well, then when it gets into like a financial investment, you immediately think, okay, you're a scammer. But when I reached out to them and then it turned into this, so that was just, I don't know.
Yeah, where I got suspect
life goes
was
on, but still.
Like I said, when I jumped in, my first thing was to preemptively go over and say, hey, I know people who contact you, they're all looking to be a collaborator or to have endorsements or be part of your brand, or, get exposure for their business and grow their business. It's about them. I said, I get that, but we want nothing from you, because that was one of the first things. What do you want from us? I'm like, we don't want anything from you. We want to serve you. We literally want to serve you. And my deal was, man, get on our website, see what we do, and then let's have a 6-week trial period and just do unsolicited or solicited reviews and feedback from the clients, because we feel so confidently what we could have offered them. But anyway, so if it's not the God thing, then we'll just wait for the next one.
Yeah.
But it's been amazing who God is sending our way, and we're just continuing to do the next life that comes our way. The next couple, we have 3 today after the recording this podcast. They're going to be incredible sessions. Lots of premaritals coming our way. And then, there's people ask about, is it all just couples? No. And, you made the comment, long haul life. We have individuals all the time, and, people just want relationship advice, or they're struggling with, anxiety, depression, or relationship issues, past relationship issues. It's whatever. We're in it. We are in it for the long haul with you. So real quick, and we won't go too long today, but just the little time we have left, I just thought about one of the things the other day. I was thinking about how powerful laughter is. It's the best medicine. And one of the things that I think couples forget to do is have fun together. And there's a if just humor or laughter or feeling, benevolent towards one another and goodwill and having that kind-hearted or that fun, lighthearted attitude toward your spouse, many times because bitterness or resentment. John Gottman talks about stonewalling, defensiveness, contempt, and criticism. Well, if you've gotten to contempt, you're heading for divorce. We recently talked to a couple, and I asked about their contempt level for one another because I could just see it. And I asked them to rate it on a 1 to 10, and they both said 10. Literally, and that's on contempt.
Yeah, that was tough.
Bless their hearts. So they're not going to be, looking for a lot of laughter. And so many times, couples that, let's say they can access some of those early days of just having fun together. Sometimes you just forget because every time you get together, it's like, okay, we got to have some serious talk, or there's enough serious issues going on with finances and marriage and parenting and all those things. But how about just having fun together? And I thought about, just how many times you and I have just laughed our butts off together. And honestly, the funniest times are when we've been laughing at ourselves.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's just something that we did that was in the moment, probably the most horrifying, mortifying,
so embarrassing
thing we've ever, but then, oh my gosh, retelling it. So have we told on this, did we just recently tell on this podcast the story of being in Colorado at
I don't think so, but I had 3 memories that just popped up.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So the symphony.
The symphony orchestra.
That
was early.
The other time we were invited to something and I wore
the black tie,
this
the purple.
all purple, like these.
And here I am in my khakis.
Yeah. And we walked out of the elevator and all these people
doors
were
open
bougie
and it was like, the audible gasp.
Back on the elevator and went and changed clothes.
From the
and
whole
then
crowd.
Colorado, the picnic table. Those are just 3 that just immediately popped.
Okay. So go ahead, jump in.
So the Colorado one?
Start. Yeah, do the Colorado one.
Okay. So this was...
I want to tell all of them.
This was a couple of years ago. And we went to stay at some friend's home, the one that we actually just got back from.
And they live across the street from Purgatory Ski Resort, so it's in Durango, and it's a great little
shout out to
pad.
Amy and Grady,
Thank you, Amy and Grady.
Our dear friends. Love you guys. And so we went to stay at their home 2 years ago. We went with, and the only ones in our family that could go at the time were Ryan and Chan, and then Ruru. And Max and Georgia were tiny babies, like 6 months old. So anyway, we make the trip, having a great time, crazy time. If you ask Chandler, she would go, I barely remember. It was kind of a crazy trip with 6-month-olds. And
right.
But anyway, we go to this really beautiful place for dinner called James Ranch, just down the road from their house. And you go up and you get your food, and there's picnic tables over this lush lawn, and lots of people, just families enjoying it, just idyllic. And there's a guy up there playing guitar, live music. And so we're sitting at this picnic table with the whole table, and Ruru is on our side of the table. The babies are probably in their buckets and their little car seats, and Ryan and Chan are on the other side of the picnic table. Well, Ruru is getting up and down, up and down, up and down. And she's like 2 years old at this time, a little over 2. So I said, hey, Ruru, either get up and sit. She was sitting in between us. Either get up here and sit or get down. But because I just kept worrying that she was about to bail off when she was going back and forth. Yeah. So right as I said that, I'm looking backwards, trying to talk to her. Ryan and Chandler get up from their side of the picnic table. So there's no weight on that side. There's lots of weight on our side. And if y'all could be there, our picnic table, everything on the picnic table, all of our drinks, our food, completely, and I'm going to say the word tumps. I know it's not probably a real word, but that's a word. It completely tumped over.
And it started in slow motion. I felt it, and I looked at you looked at me, and we just thought, we're doing this. It's going. It was the Titanic that was started going up before it, the bow starts going up, and then all of a sudden when it goes straight down.
And there was no catching us. us. There was no stopping it. We couldn't have put our arms down to stop
Drinks
it.
and plates. We were luckily finished with our food, but they're sliding down onto us. I'm trying to catch them with my left hand and body, and then my right hand goes down instinctively to try to catch us from falling off, the bench. But the whole thing was capsized and then sticking straight up in the air.
Our legs were sticking up in the air.
And we're both Jamie starts that giggle where it's like you're just the wheezy laugh. I start laughing, but the guy had just taken a set list break, the set break, the acoustic player, and everybody, you heard this. And then it was like, oh my God, are you okay? And we're
it was like this. What is that called? Where a record scratches, everything scratched and went backwards, and
literally we're laying there on our sides. The tables, because the way the bench and the table were connected, obviously. So the thing is sticking straight up in the air. We're on the ground, pinning it down like the bully on a teeter-totter. That used to do a seesaw. Anyway,
so we crawled out, tried to get everything cleaned up.
And everybody's, are you okay? And then there was a couple people who are, they're having secondhand embarrassment, right? And they're all cringing, but there was some nice people who came and checked on us. Well, anyway, and we're just kind of doing the and laughing
because it was scary. I mean,
but in the moment. That wasn't the funny part.
Oh, gosh.
So the funny part is when we there's some distance. It's 30 minutes, an hour later, and we had walked around the grounds. It was a beautiful night. We get back in the truck, and we're heading back to
Ruru's in the back seat.
And Ruru's in the back seat. And Jamie and I we just look at each other and we start thinking about what had just happened. And I tell you, like literally, I have never laughed so hard in my entire life.
Tears were streaming. Girls, you'll understand. Girls over a certain age. I peed a little bit. You just could not It was
and Ruru. I look back at her because I'm crying, but it's one of those things that's so spontaneous. She's not looking like what's going on. I mean, she got it, and she was laughing so hard at again that spontaneous connection to what's going on, and I mean that to me. And that was we'll never forget it. It's an etched memory.
Yeah. But of course, in that moment, I pulled, I pulled out my video or my camera and started videoing this. So I did post the video of it, not of us falling, but of us retelling the story in the truck.
And you missed most of it. That was the thing. And you pulled it out, and we'd already gone for, a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh. So y'all tell us if you hear this story, if you want to see the video,
there you go.
We'll somehow get you the video.
You're gonna have a lot of requests for that.
Oh my gosh!
But the time we were at this the symphony and the guy, we went and somebody had given us tickets, and we were in. I remember seeing the little ticket, it said DD, right? And they said, now if somebody comes in, you just tell them this happens sometimes. If somebody comes in and asks for your seat, just tell them, oh, that's okay. Go see the usher and they'll reseat you.
Yes.
That's what we were given. We were given those words to the people who gave us the tickets, because they were some fancy schmancy up near the front kind of tickets for this deal. And was it Mort Meyerson Symphony Center or something? Or anyway. We go up and we're sitting there in our seats. The thing had started.
We're so fancy.
And the lights go down, and only during certain parts do they even open the doors to let people come in. Well, all of a sudden, some people came in, and they're dressed in their tuxedo and their nice sequin dress. And they whisper down and across like the other 15 people that are sitting in our row, and they said, "I think you're in our seats." And we said, I literally looked right at him with such confidence. I said, oh yeah, okay. They like, you're the one they were talking about. Yeah, the usher told us to tell you to go ahead and talk to him. He'll reseat you. And then I go back to just looking at the thing, and the lady had this like. Oh, like how dare you? Hand to the throat, like how dare you? And so they go out, and then all of a sudden, here comes a flashlight. Here comes the usher, and he asked to see my tickets. And he looks down. He said, "Sir, you're in DD. This is row D." So we were in the fourth row.
You were so matter of fact. You were like, they told us this would happen.
Yeah.
You need to go. They'll receipt you.
Go handle it. Scoot along. You're bothering me. As I pulled my little spectacles back to my eyes to see the stage, it was. I mean, we were in like the fourth row up front, like it's some kind of probably sponsorship level, like they paid $30,000 a year for these seats.
And then on the way home again.
On the way home.
That's when it happened.
We started and we were telling the lines, they'll receipt you. The look on their face, the embarrassment about getting up and us having to go find DD,
And how we are so not fancy. And anytime we get put in a position where we have to be fancy, something just...
And we were literally heading back to Carrollton down the tollway. I still remember the Dallas North Tollway, heading north. And I literally just almost peed my pants just laughing so hard. But those though, and then the last one I think we got tickets.
It was like someone had given us tickets. So if you give us tickets, just know we're going to somehow mess you over. Okay, so these were some tickets for probably like New Year's Eve or something, some kind of a fun little New Year's Eve ball. I don't know what it was. And I don't even remember where it was. I've blacked out since then. But we had to ride this big elevator up and we didn't know really what we're supposed to wear. But I will tell you, I loved that outfit. Mm-hmm. It was from Victoria's Secret. Yes. This was probably 1996. Chandler was probably 2, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Could have been 98. Who knows?
Yeah,
but anyway, I was so proud of my outfit. It was really, really cute. It was this purple. It was all purple, and it was this beautiful kind of light sweater that went over these purple leggings. Why I thought that would be appropriate for the occasion, but I didn't know what the occasion was. It seemed like it was going to be a fun night of, maybe it was casino. I don't know what all it was, but my parents kept the kids. We went down to wherever this was, some fancy hotel. We're on the elevator. We ride the elevator up. We're like, what is this going to be like? This is going to be so fun. The elevator opens straight into the room where we're going. We listen to the music. We see the high top tables. We see people standing around all in fancy, like everyone's in black.
Yeah.
It was black. I don't remember if it was tux and suits
some
and
were black
dresses.
Suits, some were tux, but it was immediate.
But it was
and the eyes that turned to the eyes that turned to the elevator, and it was one of those deals. The doors open, and you and I looked at each other. And the looks that came in the elevator, we just stood there and we let the doors just shut, and we went right back down, and we went and changed clothes.
We went back home.
And I was like, screw that. I never want to see these people again.
I was like, Mom, we've got to get, so she let me borrow something from her closet so we didn't have to go back to
oh my gosh.
To our apartment. But again
just something
that we just started to laugh about later.
And by that time, since we had already done the symphony thing, it just kind of pulls on that funny bone, and all of a sudden we're reliving that. Mm-hmm. It's just that. And I'm telling you guys, if those are just 3. And there's so many.
They were embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it could have turned where
but it's you and me against the world.
Mad,
it's the bonding.
You could have been like mad at me, like, why didn't you read about the dress code? Or, I could have been frustrated with you because of the seats at the you should have looked at at the tickets better. But it didn't turn into that. You're right. It was like, we're a team. We are.
Both just took that whipping.
The 2 Stooges.
And it bonded us. We were in that embarrassment war. And just not taking yourself too seriously. That's the deal. And being able to laugh about it, because that's one of the most bonding things in our entire marriage.
Yes.
When you look back over the long haul, it's just like it's those times that we just laughing our heads off. I remember one night we were sitting right here, and both of us ended up off the couch in the floor, like again, rolling on the floor laughing, because we were like going over some of our favorite places we'd been, talking about about Charleston or St. John's or wherever we'd been on vacation. But it was all about every single memory that we were naming was about food.
It was
all about a restaurant or the food that we ate.
Food?
And we just started laughing so hard about just being these fatties, who just love our food. But it's those times that are bonding you in a special, special way. So I would just say, try not to take things so seriously. Don't take yourself seriously. Be able to laugh at yourself. And like you said, many times, again, what's underneath anger, you talked about is fear, sadness, or shame. So that fear of looking stupid, shame, feeling embarrassed, those can come out in anger, especially for men. But man, when you can just learn to laugh at it, it becomes one of the most solidifying memories that you'll look back on. And then when it inevitably happens again, you pull from the well of, like, instead of this deep shame, what it connects to me is we're going to be laughing our butts off about this. And again, it's the after, it's the telling, it's the reliving it on the way home that for me, that's where my heart goes.
Yeah. And you know what just struck me thinking about at least two of those, the symphony and then the purple outfit situation. Those two, at least, I think, and really all three of them, if you think of all three of them, those incredible memories and the laughs that we've gotten out of those for the years, those were 3 times that we really stepped out of our comfort zone. We could have said, we're not symphony people, or we don't really want to get out on a New Year's Eve and go to some hoity-toity party, or that's a big trip to Colorado, or, we've never been to this place, James Ranch, or whatever. I'm just struck with all 3 of those memories really happened because we left the house, because we decided to create new memories. We didn't realize what kind of memories we were going to be creating, and that they would have such a long, shelf life. But wow, so much fun. And can I just say, you did not even know this at all, but I've been, for the newsletter that will be coming out. So we just put out our June newsletter. If you are not a subscriber for our monthly newsletter, you want to be. So you can go on to longhaulmarriage.org and something will pop up and ask for you to become a subscriber. So anyway, just a plug for that. But the June newsletter just came out, but for July, I always try to start thinking of like a theme or just something that I can start writing about for the next month. And for July, it was going to be laughter. And fun with your spouse. Like, what are some things that you can do to bring back the fun that can just, shake things up? And
well, we're kicking it off with this podcast.
So I will say, you had no idea that was rambling around in my head.
No. Well,
love it.
Yeah, it's been rambling around in mine too. So that's great. So y'all look forward to that.
I love having fun with you, babe.
So me too. And y'all go have fun, laugh at each other. And what I'd ask you to do is, if you can email us, and you can do it, through the submission on the website, or just email us at jamie@longhaulmarriage.org or brian@longhaulmarriage.org. Just shoot us an email about one of your most embarrassing moments that turn into one of your most laughing moments. And and let us know if we have permission to share it on the podcast. And so if you do that on our next episode, we'll start off by sharing those. All right,
let's laugh.
All right, baby.
Love you.